story? What was the journey, and why choose this topic and these guys? And you can answer that first, Chelsea, and then Erin.
Yeah, so the Matches have been friends of mine for a long time now, and I did some work for them when I was still a film student, while they were still a band, and they broke up shortly thereafter. Not my fault, I promise. But after I did some work for them, they did break up, and I remained friends with them. And in 2013, late 2013, they kind of told me that they were starting to think about having a little reunion show to celebrate their 10-year anniversary of their first record. I thought this was going to be huge. So, as someone who was working in video and film, I offered to give them free promotional videos to help with this upcoming show announcement. But while I was interviewing them and just putting these videos together, like I learned, I was friends with them and I learned so much more about their story than I even realized. And then shortly thereafter, slight spoilers, the reunion just exceeded their expectations by tenfold. And I knew that there was a bigger story here and that it was something that deserved to be told. And plus, they're just fun weirdos, so they deserve a story.
Yeah, so I came on the project about 3 years ago. So about midway, Chelsea's been working on about 6 years, right? 6 years, yeah. So I came on 3 years ago, and it was through a female filmmaker co-op in San Francisco. We were at a meeting, and Chelsea had mentioned she was looking for a producer, and so I told her to send me some. I think it was a rough cut, or it was a sample. And this, of course, the rough cut. Now we look back, it's like a rough cut, but. Anyways, and I saw an early version of the film, and I just was so captivated by the story, and the guys are just so they're so approachable, and but are also so talented. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I didn't need to be on this project. So that was November of 2017, and we've been on it ever since. So yeah, it's been a great journey, long but great.
And here you are. They are very approachable, I have to admit. I like them all. When you were deciding to put this in the right package, what were some of the things that were really important to you that you needed to showcase?
So the film to me has always been uniquely the Matches story, showing this band that had all this potential, but was faced with, obviously many challenges that many musicians faced, but also uniquely the digital age of music. A lot of their milestones kind of correlate with key points where the music business was at its weakest and starting to fail. But to me, the film has also been trying to peek behind the curtain a bit. I feel like the understanding of how artists are able to make a living off their art is so disconnected from what people actually think is happening. So to me, it was about, giving them credit where credit's due, showing this band that I loved, that I felt was so unique, that deserves to be showcased. But also to make people realize that what we think our artists are surviving off of isn't really survival. If there's anything that I feel like this film, through all of the things that the Matches went through, it to me is a perfect case study of why touring is not a sustainable form of musicians making a living. Because if anything, that's the only income that they were surviving off of, and it was just breaking even. There was nothing else coming in for them, and that's something that artists are relying on today. Is that touring is arguably the only income that artists have, and now in COVID, that income is gone too. So what's going to happen to our arts? So that's really the underlying beating drum that I wanted to come out of this film.
Yeah, I think obviously Chelsea really wanted to push through this idea that it's a universal story, like she just mentioned. I think it's not just about musicians, it's filmmakers, it's content creators. We're all in the same boat where we're sort of figuring out how to be sustainable, how to make this career long lasting. And there is so much burnout. And so I think that's a really important thing for us all to think about. I think the other thing that really rings true in the story is it's the sense of community, and how community really plays a strong role in music and arts, and how that's so powerful. And I think that's one of the uplifting, I think, themes in the film that is so timely right now, because we're all feeling so isolated with COVID. So having a sense of community and coming together kind of makes you feel, kind of reminds you of what that feeling is quite like.
What did you guys learn in the journey of doing this film about the dynamics of that, in terms of the guidelines and contracts and things that artists need to look out for so they don't get, into a problem later on?
Oh man. I would argue that Bleeding Audio has had a few instances that the matches also experienced. There are times where I feel like I had the same naivety and trust that the matches had, and I had to learn the hard way. And I feel like the thing that, if there's anything that each matches member has said to me at some point is, and something that I have learned through this experience, is the trust your gut thing, and to stick to your guns. And like, if you have a gut feeling about anything or anyone, and you think that you don't feel like this person is on the same page as you don't feel like they understand what your message is or have the same end goals, like, listen to that gut feeling, because it will change things in the long run. And I also am a person who falls victim to loyalty and just being so honored by everybody who loves my project, who wants to support my project. But honestly, not everybody has the best interests in that, and not everybody has the stamina or like work ethic that is required, and can sometimes just end up not supporting you in the way that they need to. And that's what the matches experienced, that's what I experienced. And I feel like it's a lesson that either artists are able to survive after they learn it the hard way, or they don't. And sometimes little things can happen that cause hurdles, and sometimes bigger things happen. So it's I feel like that's one of the biggest that's one of the biggest things for me. Erin,
And I
did you?
think, right. And I think that, like you said, you're young and you're excited. And even if you're not young, you're just excited. Somebody loves your project. So you get so caught up in the woe of it, you don't look behind and go, wait a minute, that doesn't really sound like it's okay. So I think it's really fascinating that you're doing this. As a producer, Erin, as we have many hats we have to carry.
It's true.
What were some of the challenges for you as a producer doing this project?
Oh, that's such a long
I
conversation. How
know.
much
Well,
time
let's
do we
just say,
have?
pick the two things that were most challenging for you, and how did you manage to overcome those?
Yeah, I mean, there's part of it is obviously coming into a project when it's sort of partially already started. You're sort of, as a producer, you want to really sort of figure out what everything is. So there was a little bit of a learning curve coming into that. But I think it's really important. And a lot of docs do bring on multiple producers. So I think it was a sort of a good experience for me. But I think part of it is we had so much material, and it was really us, thinking through what we could put into the project, what made sense. We definitely had some darlings that were on the cutting room floor that didn't make it. But really thinking through how to tell the story in a way that stuck true to what Chelsea's vision for the story was, but also making some hard decisions when things weren't working, which is always hard coming in as a producer, because you want the director's vision to shine, but you also got to look at the realities of what's going to work. Obviously, we can't make a 3-hour Godfather trilogy of Bleeding Audio, although we should. Now that I'm thinking about it, director's
Yeah.
cut.
There are
Yeah.
some
I think
characters in there you could probably do a whole feature film on some of
exactly.
them.
And there's some great, obviously, characters that didn't make it into the final version, which was always a little difficult. I think that was part of it, and I think also this film is really about passion and support and community, and those things we all feel really strongly about. And I think it was important for us to like keep those themes there while also telling a story that felt honest and true and stuck to the actual event. So I think balancing those two things, and so coming into some of those editing screenings that we had with our editors, it was really thinking through how to sort of tell the story in a way that felt natural and honest. And I think also, making documentaries in 2020 or 2019 is hard. There's so many obstacles. There's funding obstacles. There's ways to think about how you can get all the different paperwork stuff in. So I think those are sort of, I guess, the two biggest things.
Erin was really good at keeping us honest. Obviously, I'm very close to material. Like I said, these guys are friends of mine for a long time. So there was so much I wanted to fit into the film. But, if there's anything that Erin helped me realize, and also like that I've learned too as a filmmaker, is that the less messages you have, the bigger impact your singular message will have in the end, because then people will understand that clear story. And that's really what we wanted to. I mean, Bleeding Audio could have had all of these elements in it, and a lot of things that are on the cutting room floor, but the thing that mattered the most to us is what stayed in the film.
So let's talk about the visuals and how you put this together. It was very engaging. The animations were fantastic. Wow. Share with me how that happened in the process. That was just brilliant work.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. So there's something that is unique to the matches is that they're a very artistic band. You know, from their humble beginnings, they started making all of their own art. As they grew as a band, they started incorporating a couple collaborators as well to help them with their artistic vision. But being an art band has always been very central to who they are, you know. And so we basically had access to all of this original artwork that was by either the matches themselves or them and their collaborators. And so I personally, what I realized somewhere in the editorial process was that we weren't telling that art story, which was a huge part of like what matches fans loved about them, was just this art explosion. And so Erin found us this incredible animator whose name is Marissa Cruz. And she took these files, these old like Photoshop files, and there's a lot of stuff that didn't have Photoshop files. So she had to work with very minimal and helped tell these moments in the film that, one, required a little further explanation, and two, just didn't exist in B-roll. And so she really helped us see through some of those points. And then also, I mean, aside from the artwork, like the matches, we're very fortunate that they were part of this very early adopter to live streaming and filming, which was iMusicCast in Oakland. And I mean, Brian Matheson there had all of their shows on DV tapes for us. And so we just had like this, it was a documentary filmmaker's dream. We just had like this repository of some of their most embarrassing, you know, live performances and some of their most explosive ones, you know. It was really great. We were very fortunate.
It sounds like it was a process for both of you that was very challenging yet very exciting. What did each one of you learn about yourself coming away from doing this project?
Oh, Chelsea, you're going to take that one first.
Oh, I don't know. I learned a lot, you know. I learned a lot about myself as a filmmaker, you know. Obviously I started this 6 years ago. I'm a very different filmmaker now. And so, you know, being able to reconcile that, you know, that growth in a project that's taken this long has been a bit of a challenge. Erin hates that I say this, but like I feel like it's a strong statement, but like I feel like what Bleeding Audio taught me is I understand why people quit the film industry, because it's really hard. Like I get it. It's really, really hard. But someone asked me the other day, like, "Oh, did you ever consider quitting?" And the answer was just no. Like I've never had a moment where I thought, I'm not going to finish this. You know, it took, you know, 5 years longer than I thought it was going to take. But like, I never had a moment where I thought, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I want to do. I'm going to give up. But I understand why, because it's been very difficult. But I feel like for me, it just made me realize that this is my calling, that telling stories is the thing that I'm meant to be doing. But also, like I get it now, you know, and I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, I think for me, it really reinforced. You sort of forget as a producer how much collaboration is such an important part of the filmmaking process. I also direct my own, and I work on other people's projects, so you kind of see both sides of it, both as director and producer. But you know, it sort of reminded me the power of collaboration, of working together with a group of people who all bring their own sort of strengths. You know, like I said, you mentioned working with Marissa on the animations, which was a great process. You know, we worked with our editors. We had such a great finishing vendor, sort of working with the graphics. And it was such a nice sort of reminder of how powerful it can be when you bring in like a group of people who all have like one vision and want the project to be amazing. And you work together because filmmaking, as Chelsea is saying, is incredibly hard. And if we had to do this all on our own, you know, I think it would be a whole different projects or a whole different product. I feel like having that, you know, relying on an army or community of people, I think makes it really powerful. So I think it reminded me just why collaboration is so important, and thinking through filmmaking as a whole. Especially, like I said, I keep on thinking about this COVID stuff, but just thinking about how it's affecting, you know, this idea of isolation right now. You really want to feel connected.
Well, you guys said both very, you know, the things you said, the most two powerful things that I see across the board with people who are striving and are successful in doing things is you never give up. You never thought option, you know, giving up was something you would do, which is what is the key to success. And the second thing is having a great team of people around you that support you, what you're doing. So you guys obviously made a great team, and you came up with an amazing project at the end, which is fantastic. Chelsea, you knew them, of course. Did you find out anything interesting or different or added to the flavor now that they're older? Were there things that surprised you? Or some of them you were saying, oh, well, I guess you're kind of the same. You know, were there things that you found about them that was funny to you, interesting, or revealing?
Ooh, interesting. I I mean, these guys, I think one of the reasons why they're so charming and so approachable is because they have literally nothing to hide. They have no shame. They are themselves, you know? And I feel like that's 100% it. Something I will say though that I did not know up until a few years ago was that John Devoto was a tap dancer. And so like he used to competitively tap dance from like ages 3 to like 15. The only reason why he quit tap dancing was because he joined a rock band and got signed, you know? And so like he tap dances again now under the moniker Tapper Dan. So, you know, check him out. But that to me was something that I had no idea. And so when his mom gave me all of these tap dancing tapes, I was just like, excuse me. And you know, and just sitting there watching this little BB John Devoto tap dancing was amazing to me. But otherwise, I mean, honestly, these guys are just open books to their fans and to their friends. Like they're really, I feel like something that did get cut from the movie was this mention from them about how they didn't want to be rock stars, you know, like they wanted to break down that barrier. They just wanted to be as much of a fan as like a friend, as like a band, you know. It was about having an even playing field, and that's how they approach everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why they resonated so much with me and so much with their fans.
So what's the journey for the film now for Bleeding Audio?
Oh, so many things.
I guess like keep doing festivals, keep trying this virtual circuit, you know. We actually originally had our premiere at CineQuest in March, and the same day they postponed the festival due to COVID. So we're the closing night film.
Congratulations.
Well, I mean, thank you. And really we just didn't really know what to do, and the thought was you know, if this is the current world, let's like figure out how to navigate it, you know, instead of waiting, let's take ownership of what we have. So we decided to go full force with festivals virtually, and you know, the hope is that we can land a distribution deal and then get it out to the world.
So as documentary filmmakers, I'm sure you're probably going to do other things along the way. Will the two of you collaborate again in terms of producing something and getting something together? Miss Chelsea and Erin, what can we expect from this team?
Chelsea. Well, I think first Chelsea told me she wasn't going to make a movie ever again, but now that we're
Well, not a documentary.
I might convince her otherwise.
Yeah.
I think we both have percolating projects of our own, and I think we definitely can see working together. I think it's so important other female filmmakers supporting one another, and showing that, you know, there can be a producer director, you know, woman combo in this industry, because it's so, you know, obviously so male dominated. So I think I have a project that I'm directing. It's a feature doc that hopefully I'm in an early production on, and then yeah, Chelsea and I we can talk about what the next.
I mean, it's really we just gotta help each other out, right? So no, I'm super excited about Erin's project. You can look it up. She's a resident at SF Film House right now, and which is a really prestigious opportunity. And so you can look into her project. But for me personally, I have said to Erin, I was like, this is the first and last documentary I'll ever make, because I typically come from the narrative sector, you know, like I do a lot of script writing, and that's where I come from. And so my hope is this whole story about the music and the music industry. I wrote a script that essentially captures this story from a much more psychological, kind of heady level of that tour burnout, and just like trying to build a life for yourself if you are on the road all the time. And so my hope is to develop that and make that my next project.
Excellent.
Yes, go to our website, bleeding-audio.com. Yeah, and then we just launched our trailer on our Facebook page. So come check it out, Bleeding Audio Film on Facebook. We spent so much time in this fantastic trailer, but I know if you haven't seen the film yet, it's definitely going to encourage you to want to see it. What are our other social channels, Miss Chelsea?
So on Instagram, we're at Bleeding Audio Film, and on Twitter, we're at Bleeding_audio. And I'm personally the only Chelsea Christer on the known internet. I haven't been able to find another one yet. So you can find me there as well.
What would each one of you hope an audience member would take away from this project?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say. I think what reminded a little bit walking away from the film and watching it fairly recently, again, is just how important music is and arts are in our community. You sort of, with everything going on, you sort of get lost in the noise, but really. The art expression, music, film are so much part of like our soul as a community, and I think really relishing that, taking time to sort of listen to music or watch a film and sort of nourish the soul a bit amongst all the sort of the chaos that's happening in the world. That was definitely something that I think I would want people to walk away with. And also just sort of reminding themselves that it's important to support artists. I mean, that, whether it's a filmmaker or a musician, we all need support from the community in order for this to be a long lasting career.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I echo the same. Of course, I would love for people to walk away from this film and love the matches and listen to their music. But on a deeper level, the purpose behind this film was really to show that the matches story is a lot of band stories, and that I know that we're all in a very strange time right now, but to remember that the art that we consume, if we don't support the artists, there are consequences, and we could lose those artists, and the matches case is obviously a little bit more unique and nuanced, but it's just, there is a direct connection between those two things. And in this digital era, when things are so easily accessed, we need to remember that, like, if we want great art, we need to invest in it, and it's I hope that message rings true.
Excellent. So if you can describe Bleeding Audio in 3 words, each one of you, and you cannot use each other's words, how would you describe Bleeding Audio?
I feel like I want you to go first so I don't steal your words. Go, Chelsea.
I'm thinking, love explosion music.
All right, then.
I don't know. I just picked 3 words.
I'm going to say energetic, inspiring, artistic.
And they're all those things. Ladies, thank you so much for chatting with me. I cannot wait to see more from Chelsea and more from Erin. And we really appreciate your hard work and effort and time making this fabulous documentary, which I truly enjoyed. So thank you again so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.